Having dissected the impact of platform capitalism and the resistance against it, we will now explore how globalization influences cultural identities. In this section, we delve into the complex and fascinating realm of cultural identity within the content of globalized world. Cultural identity, as we know it, is not static but ever evolving, particularly in today's interconnected society. As globalization continues to bridge geographical boundaries and connect diverse cultures, its significant impact the way we perceive, negotiate, and express our identities. We begin by discussing how globalization affects cultural identity and expression, a topic that lies on the heart of our understanding of a rapidly changing world. Globalization, with its vast reach and influence, has given rise to a phenomenon known as cultural hybridity. This phenomenon challenging traditional notions of identity by highlighting the blending of various cultural elements. It emphasizes the interconnectedness of culture, leading to the emergence of new, dynamic, and hybrid identity. One of the key concepts we explore is transculturation. This term, coined by Cuban anthropologist Fernando Ortiz, refers to the process through which cultures interact, blend, and reshape themselves in a globalized content. Transculturation underscores the continent's negotiation of identity as they adapt to the force of globalization. Let's move to our next slide. Now, we transition to the impact of media consumption on cultural identity. In today's digital age, our media choice play a pivotal role in shaping our identity. Media, in its multifaceted forms, acts less as a mirror and more as a framework that shape our perception of ourselves and others. It selectively emphasizes certain elements of our cultural identity while playing a pivotal role in the development of new cultural norms and perspectives, often guided by underlying ideologies. As we examine how media choices impact cultural identity formation, we confront a key concept: the role of media in identity reinforcement. This refers to the way media can reinforce existing cultural identities, creating a sense of belonging and validation for individuals and communities. But it's not just about reinforcement. Media also play a role in cultural resistance. It can be a powerful tool for marginalized communities to assert their identity, challenging stereotypes, and promote cultural diversity. This aspect highlights the dynamic nature of cultural identity in the face of media influence. Furthermore, media's role extends beyond mere reinforcement or resistance. We explore how it contributes to the certain of hybrid cultural forms. These are expressions of identity that blend elements from different cultures, often facilitated by the global reach of digital media. As we convened in the digital era contemplate the role of media in shaping and expressing cultural identity, we are compelled to recognize its profound impact. For the next few minutes, I shall dissect the multifaceted relationship between media consumption and identity formation in the contemporary milieu. The cellular narrative of Bollywood, with their kaleidoscope of color and melodious soundscape, do more than entertain. They serve as a repository in Indian culture norms and values, encapsulating and celebrating the myriad aspects of Indian life. These cinematic creations go beyond mere storytelling, and they are purveyors of tradition. the chroniclers of change and the custodians of cultural memory. They reinforce and project a collective identity, one step in the complexity of familial bonds, societal obligation, and individual obligation. Yet, the digital realm offers an ancestral narrative. It is a platform where resistance germinates and proliferates. Consider the hashtag Black Lives Matter. It is a digital campaign that burgeoned into a global movement. This emblem of resistance exemplifies how media can transcend its traditional role as a cultural mirror and also become a catalyst for societal transformation and an instrument for the articulation of marginalized identity. Simultaneously, in the cusp of global media, we witness the birth of hybrid identities. K-pop is an archetype of this cultural amalgamation, a synthesis of Western pop and Korean culture motif. It is a culture chameleon, adapting and moving to resonate with a global audience, influencing not just the sonic preference of international youngs, but also their visual and linguistic phenomena. K-pop challenging the homogeneity of cultural consumption and also exemplify the emergence of a new hybrid cultural identity in the digital age. Moreover, we must critically examine the digital strategy employed for cultural sustainability. Social media, often critiqued for its role in cultural homogenization, has paradoxically emerged as a tool for culture preservation. Indigenous language revitalization campaigns exemplify this dual use of digital platforms, harnessing them to sustain and invigorate cultural heritage. The campaigns are not mere acts of remembrance, but of recognition and revitalization, ensuring that language and culture, once on the brink of erasure, continue to thrive in the digital ecosystem. As we progress, let's maintain a critical eye on the evolving narrative of media influence on cultural identity. Let's question, analyze, and engage with the media as both consumers and critical scholars, understanding its power to shape, reinforce, and sometimes resist the cultural construct that define our collective experience. In conclusion, the interplay of media and identity in the digital age is a dynamic and ongoing dialogue. As we turn to the page to this section on cultural identity and global hybridity, let's continue to critically engage with these concepts, recognizing the ever-evolving nature of culture in the digital epoch. In our conclusion slide, we're focusing on strategy for preserving cultural identity in a globalized digital world. In the face of globalization and its transformative effect, cultural preservation becomes crucial. Communities worldwide are employing various strategies to safeguard their cultural traditions, languages, and practice. These efforts serve as a means of maintaining a sense of continuity and identity in an ever-changing world. One contemporary approach to cultural resilience is digital storytelling. As we navigate the digital age, storytelling becomes a powerful means to convey and perceive cultural narratives. Through digital platforms, communities can share their stories, myths, and histories, fostering a sense of connection and understanding across borders. Finally, we explore cultural activism, a dynamic response to the challenges posed by globalization. Cultural activists advocate for the rights and recognition of diverse cultures, challenging homogenizing force and promoting cultural diversity in a global scale. In conclusion, our journey through this section underscores the dynamic nature of cultural identity in the face of globalization. We have examined how media choose impact identity formation, the role of media in both reinforcement and resistance, and a strategy for preserving cultural identities. As we reflect these concepts, we gain deeper insight into the complex interplay between media, culture, and identity in our ever-evolving global landscape. And thank you for your attention. Let's proceed to our final section.